right.
So if you're just joining us in the chat box, we're throwing in which watershed you're in and what site number or kind of location if you want to describe it. Oh, Peter, not anymore. Vaguely remember that. Peter does a nice job with his macro invertebrate work, which we'll be highlighting Thursday night. I think most of you saw the link for that. That's it. Will be an exciting presentation. Hello, Jeff. Just saw you join. Mark. Nice to see you guys. So what you're looking at on the screen here is a nice map that Ryan put together of all of our active Streamkeeper sites. So if you start all the way to the right, you will see obviously the Pennyback watershed. A little bit lower to the left is the TTF watershed. And even all the way further left is the gigantic Whissick. So as you can see, we have actually a pretty decent spread all up and down our creeks. TTF seems to have kind of the most, they've got almost every tributary covered. That's impressive. Nice work, TTF. Whissick's got a good long stretch up and down, so that's good intervals. That's great. Yeah, then Pennyback, we're jammed into the middle there, all at the Pennyback Trust. I love it.
We have a few Creek Watch sites that don't have volunteers right now, and I don't even think I showed them on this map. So we do have a few more sites beyond these as well. And I did want to say, Ryan, do you mind checking the waiting room and just making sure that everyone has been let in? I can't quite see it as well now that I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, we're good. I've been adding people as they pop up on the screen.
Cool.
Perfect. All right. Well, it looks like we have everybody in. Thank you guys for your input on the chat box. Looks like we have people from every single watershed here for the most part. I'm really excited to have you guys. We've been kind of talking and planning amongst ourselves for the last couple of months, and we miss you guys. We want to do things in person, so we've decided just to do this quick catch-up meeting to let you guys know, where we've been, where our thoughts have been at, what we're doing with your data, what we're planning for next year, how 2021 went, and all that stuff, just to give you guys an update, because pretty much all of you are dedicated, sending your reports every month. And the least we can do is this short meeting to just to touch base and show you what we're doing. And to thank you guys for all the dedication you've shown us in the past, since what, 2014 now? That's quite a stretch of time. So thank you. Joining me tonight is Aaron from Whissick Trails, Ryan Newman from Tacony Frankfurt Watershed Partnership, and the newest member of our team, Karen Ogden from the Pequessing Watershed. If you remember Megan, she was the previous person in that position, but we're happy to have Karen on. And I actually want to give Karen, a couple seconds here if she wants to hop on to say hello and introduce herself.
Sure. I don't have a lot to say. I just want to say hi and thank you for what you're doing. It's been it's exciting to see so much work going on here, and I'm being introduced to it and learning it, and hopefully we'll take the reins on the Pequessing group soon and build up that base of volunteers as well. But I need to learn what's going on from the people who are presenting tonight and from you. So thank you for being here. That's all.
All right. Thank you, Karen. Great to meet you, and we're excited to see you in person. And as with a lot of the new Streamkeepers tonight, that none of us have met in person yet, which is sad. That's part of this program, is getting together and seeing people that are like-minded and care about the same stuff, live in the same watershed, all that fun stuff. So I don't know if I can change the slides here, but I think, Aaron, you're in charge. Awesome. So as we saw, we monitor all across these different watersheds, and that's really awesome. And this just kind of shows you that Pennyback staff, Whissick staff, TTF staff cannot do this. We just simply don't have enough people or time to go to all these sites and make sure nothing bad is happening, and that baseline stuff is, going well and we're tracking it, so we know what goes on in the future. So it's just so valuable that you guys go out to these sites once a month and just check on them for us. You know, whether you find anything different or not, when you do, it's worth it. And the baseline data is so worth it. And hopefully we can show you how we've been using a lot of your data tonight. Aaron? And then these numbers right here just kind of blow me away with how many hours and just how much work you guys put into doing this, and that you're not alone. See how many other people do this with you. And all of this, whether it's the data or the outreach, you telling your neighbors and your friends, this work really matters while you're out at your site talking to people. It's just truly impressive how much almost 1,000 hours you guys were out there at the creeks, which is awesome for you because you got more outside time, but then you also gave back. So this slide is just a testament to you guys and how much work you put in, and that we're keeping track and we see you. So thank you. Getting all excited here. You guys got me going. It's awesome. So highlights of 2021. I have all of these in the chat here. So just wait a second and I will post those in here. So as you can see, 2019, we were killing it. We had almost 10 trainings that year. And then COVID hit, slowed us down. But 2021, I think we still came out with quarterly training. All of them were virtual, which isn't as fun. So I just put all those trainings in the chat box. If you missed them, they're also on the Pennyback Trust YouTube. Then I'm going to talk about the macroinvertebrate training, winter salt watch a little bit more. But yeah, 148 volunteers participated. So that means you guys like these trainings. Later on, we're going to talk about what do you guys want to see future? What kind of trainings, what to do at the creek, whether it's virtual or in person. What kind of trainings do you guys want? So we're going to talk about that, but this is what we did last year. There he is. There he is. Looking good on the creek. So this was last year in the spring. We had the Isaac Walton League of America come down and do their certification class called Save Our Streams Macroinvertebrate Training. We had 16 volunteers come out. 7 of those volunteers actually finished getting their certification, which was attending the online program, attending the in-person program, and then passing 2 quizzes. We do plan to do this again. We're just working with Isaac Walton League to finalize a date. It may not be until the fall, but we are working on that. We'd like to get you guys out for another chance to do this training. As for Pennyback, we will be using these volunteers this spring, actually, to work with our research coordinator, Maria Paula. And she has some locations that she wants to do some samples, and we will be calling on these certified volunteers to help us. So if you want more information on that, I think you can actually do that almost all virtually right now. I'll have to double check that, but we're trying to work this back in. So thank you to the volunteers that joined us. And we have Amy tonight. She is the only volunteer that submitted a report. That's exactly what we're looking for. But it's not that important to do it in the fall. It's valuable and it's great. But I think Isaac Walton League, they kind of suggest just doing the spring so people don't burn out. But if you want to do the fall like Amy did, which was awesome, we use that data and we'll show you that tonight and on Thursday night with our other presentation. So I think that's all I have for Save Our Streams. And then again, thanks to the Isaac Walton League of America, who funded both of these programs for us for the most part, except our staff time, thanks to the William Penn Foundation. Winter Salt Watch was a huge success. I think a lot of you tonight participated in this. As you can see, a lot of you did participate. 84 total volunteers, 130 reports submitted in the Philadelphia Watershed. This program has been outstanding just for the fact that it's getting the word out about the overuse of salt. It wasn't that talked about even 5 years ago. Now it's front page news in the Philadelphia Inquirer, thanks to Ryan's data and TTF's data working with Stroud. So I'm super excited about Winter Salt Watch. We actually just finished up a grant with Isaac Walton League. And if we win that grant, we'll actually be able to go to local Philadelphia schools. So like Upper Moreland, Abington, and other places in the watersheds, and actually work with students and give them test kits and things like that. So Winter Salt Watch has really grown and been a lot of fun to work with and a lot of success. Yeah, that's exciting. And as you can see, it's been in the media all over. John Jackson was just on, was it NPR yesterday talking about it. So we're making an impact, and that's thanks to you guys. It's your data. You're going to the creek and showing it to us. But more importantly, you're getting the word out about salt use and that we can do better. I'm going to post in the chat right now probably the most direct article that I've read, a research article about salt, and it kind of breaks it down to what we can actually do and what we should be focusing on when we're targeting this issue and what's possible. So I'm not going to go into that right now. There's a whole webinar on it, which I just posted. And this article really helps. So if you guys are interested, I just put that in the chat box as well. Oh yeah, and then Ryan mentioned that Joffrey had a article in, I think it was he sent a letter to the editor, and it was in the newspaper today, just getting the word out about Salt Watch. It's exactly what we want from you guys, and that's just going above and beyond, and I love it. So thank you guys again. I'm gonna say that a lot tonight, so it might get old. But your work is really getting out there, and it's awesome. Now to the serious stuff, kind of serious, but we just wanted to go way back to 2014. Why did we start these programs? I actually wasn't involved until 2016 entirely. So I wasn't here in the very beginning, but I took over in 2016 after the program was well underway and did most of these things. So tonight we're going to talk about these things and kind of, have we met these goals, and where do we want to go from here, and what's possible, if that all makes sense. So original intent of Streamkeepers, obviously you can read through these, but some of the main things are getting a group of people that care about the watershed to be more educated, to go get data, to let us know when there's a pollution event. And we've had tons of success with that, with fish kills, sedimentation, oil spills. You name it, we Streamkeepers have found it since 2014, and that alone is impressive. Not to mention the baseline data that you guys are collecting up below stream and upstream of our bigger projects, which all of our organizations are going to talk to you about tonight, because we realize that you're collecting this data for these big projects that we haven't really told you about them. So we're going to go over that briefly tonight. What are these capital projects that we're doing for the Delaware River Watershed Initiative? That's the reason we're monitoring today. So just to give you more background on why we're doing this. And then just bringing like-minded people together to go on field trips, to go collect data, to go to the creek and learn from each other, see each other's creeks. I think that's actually been one of the hidden values that we didn't see in the beginning, which has been really fun. I've been working with a lot of you since 2014, and we're all just kind of friends, and we hang out, we go to the creek, we care about the same things. So that was kind of something I didn't see coming, which is one of my favorite things. And you guys joining tonight just kind of shows that. And then an avenue for the community to have their voices heard. Joffrey went right to the editor, and that's because of the work we're doing here, and he goes above and beyond. That's the kind of stuff we want. We want guys give you encouragement to do these things and go to your neighbors and the township, to express your concerns in a civilized way, if that makes sense. Because a lot of this stuff can get you very heated, and I'm well aware of that. So how do we do this and approach it, leaving the pitchforks at home, like I've kind of always said? How do we do this the best way as a community? So this is why we started Streamkeepers. That was long-winded, but that's what our intent was. And so hopefully you saw that we're meeting a lot of these goals. Now the fun part, I get to talk about the Pennyback watershed and the work that my executive director, Chris Mendel, has done since he started here. Obviously, the Delaware River Watershed Initiative was started in about 2014 to all work together to do small projects in focus areas to make a difference in local watersheds. We got a slow start, and we didn't really get a lot of projects in the beginning, but once we got the ball rolling, we really got the ball rolling. So tonight I'm going to talk about two major projects in the upper watershed, which is our focus area. It's an unnamed tributary that goes from the middle school property across Byberry Road through Fulmer Heights, and then enters the Pennyback Creek just below the SEPTA line on Surrey Lane. So that's our focus area. And tonight we're going to talk about, I'll just show you quickly some of the projects we're going through. Aaron? So just recently, we won a very large grant from DCNR for Farmstead Park off of Byberry Road. And next slide. This is exciting because we're working with the township, the historic district, and Parks and Recreation to make an active recreation, historical, environmentally friendly park. This space is currently underused by the township. They do a lot of mowing. It's water runoff. There's sedimentation. The banks are eroding. It's just kind of a mess, for lack of better terms. But we're going to work with the township, the Fulmer Heights Historic District, and Parks and Recreation to complete this plan. And we actually just got the funding to do so. So that's very exciting. What you're looking at is the actual conceptual plan for this park. And I'm very excited to get working on it. But that's down the road, and I'll have more updates later. We haven't broken ground yet. The more exciting stuff is the next slide. We have done a lot of work at Fulmer Heights. We've won several grants with NIFWIF and things like that. And we've already put a lot of these projects in the ground. Thanks to the StreamSmart program, we focus most of our efforts within Fulmer Heights Homeowners Association, which is in the Upper Moreland, Hatboro area, which the unnamed tributary runs entirely through the whole Homeowners Association. So we decided to do a lot of projects there. So besides the StreamSmart grant, we can go to the next slide. We focused a lot of our attention on this parking lot and the runoff from these local buildings. So what you're looking at, this parking lot here, we tore that up. And Aaron, you kind of go, 5 seconds maybe per slide. And that water came off that building, off of this curb, down this slope, obviously taking all the sediment with it. Keep going. So now our plan is to capture that water in this kind of a big hole, for lack of better words. And we capture them in these little tanks that you're seeing here. So a couple hundred of those tanks went in. We put those in, covered them with a tarp. We filled it in with aggregate. We fixed that slope. Another angle with the level lip spreaders. So the water now goes underground in a pipe out to there if it overfills, slowly draining back to the creek. Not only did they do that massive project with the parking lot, they also completed 2 rain gardens. Here you're seeing one of the rain gardens with a rain barrel that'll soon no longer be needed. They're going to move that somewhere else. Here they are filling in that big hole with the aggregate. Almost completed. And that big hole, the white part you see there is something to view the water when they're done, to see how full this basin actually gets. And here we are celebrating the finished project with DCNR. That's Secretary Dunn from DCNR, who just gave us that grant for Farmstead Park, checking out some of our other work. So it's important to get, once you get one project going, you keep the ball rolling in the watershed, and that's what we intend to do. So this project was a great success, thanks to Fran in the center there. He's the manager at Fulmer Heights. Just a great project, and we're happy that we finally got a pretty big project in, surrounded by other little projects, such as the rain garden, 2 of them capturing things from that parking lot, fixing the erosion happening down the hill. And then if you go to Fulmer Heights, we've planted hundreds of trees up and down the banks of the creek. And we've also convinced them to stop mowing right to the edge. They used to mow even in the creek where there was grass. So even just getting them to do that. So now there's a beautiful meadow that residents can walk through with trees. The rain garden's doing very well, and volunteers are taking care of it. So then we even have Lynette and Frank on here who are doing temperature monitoring before this project, and we're going to continue that afterwards. You can go to the next slide, Aaron. There's Fran, happy as can be, because when we first met Fran, his first observation was, oh, great, you're going to get this water off my property quicker, right? Now look at him. He's capturing so much rainwater on his homeowners association, just showing that one HOA can make a difference. And Fran is truly a testament to that. So happy, Fran. We love you, Fran. Next slide. And then we also, there's Lynette, I think. She helped out with the tree planting, and Lynette's just been so instrumental with the EAC, the planting the trees, doing the temperature monitoring, the stream keeping. Thank you, Lynette. You put a lot of work into this, and Frank, so did you with getting the temperature data, and everyone else. I think those are the main 2 that helped out over here. If I'm missing you, I'm sorry. So a lot of the whole community came together for this. They love it. It's truly educating the entire community, not just the HOA board. We're not just putting signs up to say we did something good. This is really awesome. A lot of projects in one area, the community is involved. That's what we're going for. And then Next slide, I think it is. There's some more of the pretty trees and some of the mowing I was talking about. Makes just such a difference not mowing to the edge of the creek. Saves them money. There's less gas being burned. So many good benefits. Next slide. Then here where I kept trying to go to. This is all the monitoring this is where you guys kind of come in. This is where our staff comes in. We've been monitoring up and downstream of these creeks before these projects went in. That's what's really key here, is that we started before and we're going to continue after. Most of you on this call know that these projects takes time. It's not put the project in, you see water quality the next day. Unfortunately, this stuff takes a lot of time to settle in, the plants to root and things like that. So continuous monitoring. Some of you are like, why have we been monitoring since 2014? This is exactly why. For when these projects go in and we can actually say maybe 5-10 years down the road, these projects made a difference and here's the data that proved it. How cool is that? So I think that's awesome. What you see in front of you is all of the different kind of data that we're collecting, whether it's from PERT, from Stroudwater Research Center, Temple, Villanova, I forgot to put them in here. This is all the kind of stuff we're doing. Ryan and I and Aaron, we go out quarterly and get samples. So will Karen, which is the fun part of our job. We can actually get out there and do samples. We do winter salt watch ourselves. We try to do everything that you guys do just so we keep up with it. And then you guys do the macroinvertebrates, the temperature loggers, monthly Streamkeeper reports, winter salt watch, and the maintenance. And then a lot of you go above and beyond and you make videos, you go to your township meetings, you write letters to the editor. So that's how your data is being used. If you want to see some of this data in action, join us Thursday night for the Pennyback Trust macroinvertebrate workshop. You'll see exactly how we incorporate volunteer data and things like that. Yeah, so that's the Pennyback projects. Obviously, I'm really excited about them, and I'm happy that we have projects in the ground and we've been monitoring, and we'll keep monitoring. So thank you guys. Thank you, Pennyback Streamkeepers especially, and all of you. I look forward to seeing you, but I'll talk again later. That was the Pennyback section. Big projects happening. I'll pass it to Ryan from TTF.
Okay, you can keep like a running 10-second clock, Aaron, because I'm a fast talker and there's a lot of pictures. But so in the TTF, we sort of had a really busy fall where a lot of projects went in at the end of the fall just because things were delayed and whatnot. But I'm just going to highlight here a couple rain gardens at some different sites. And then also this year, we originally focused since 2014 in the Jenkintown Creek. We also added a new focus this year, which is the Shoemaker Run, which is right next to the Jenkintown Creek. If you're familiar with our watershed up by Abington Friends School, the Shoemaker Run starts right up there on the other half of the property that the Jenkintown Creek isn't on. So that's why we started doing some more projects. You'll see here, Reformed Congregation Knesset Israel is actually in the Shoemaker Run watershed. We have a lot of other projects hopefully coming up in there. And we've been doing some monitoring. If you've seen any of our chloride data or our conductivity data from this year in some of the articles, it's actually been from the Shoemaker Run Creek, which it turns out some of the highest conductivity levels that people have seen in the area, unfortunately. You can go to the next slide. So the first project I'll just talk about quickly here is at the Reformed Congregation Knesset Israel. So that's on Old York Road in that Shoemaker Run focus area. So this was like that project that Kevin talked about at Fulmer Heights. It was all subsurface. It was the same sort of rain tanks. So basically how we describe them, they're giant milk crates that get covered with geotextile fabric and then a layer of stone. Then they get completely buried. Basically, there's space in between the milk crates where water can get stored then. So this project was put in to manage the 1.25 acre rooftop of the building there. And you can see here in this last picture then, it just gets completely covered over with dirt and it's going to look like a regular lawn again. So there's also more projects to come at Knesset Israel. We're looking at some parking lot retrofits as well. So the next set of projects then is at Alverthorpe Park again. So Alverthorpe Park, we have done projects at in the past, and we also have another project slated to happen hopefully next year, which we have over $500,000 in funding for right now, but we need a little bit more. That's similar to the project that I just talked about, where it's underneath a storage lot there, and it's those rain tanks again. which are great when you don't have a lot of space above ground to still manage stormwater. So the projects I'm going to talk about here at Alverthorpe include a small rain garden that's near Forest Ave. They had a problem where some water would spill out onto the road and create some ice, and there was a lot of erosion happening. So you can see this was a rain garden here with a little bit of a bioswale feature to help capture some additional water. This project, actually, fun fact, was funded by the Bonneville Environmental Foundation, which some of the money from that comes from Coors Seltzer. So like Coors Beer, they gave us money to put in this project, which was pretty cool. They came to us and said, you have a project. This was a great project that we could put in. So it went in this fall in the October to early November range. And one of the cool things about this project too is that we worked with a class from Temple, a senior design class of engineering, and they did some work to help plan the project. Then they also came out and did a planting. We planted about 150 native plugs in that rain garden then here in the fall. So there's the planted garden. It doesn't look that exciting now. There'll be some great pictures to come this year though, as that rain garden fills in, and it's in a really visible spot. When we were out planting, a lot of people were coming up and asking questions. So the next feature here at Alverthorpe is along the baseball field that is on, I can't say the other road right now. So it's one of the baseball fields at the back end of the park. So this was a baseball field used by Penn State Abington. And so a lot of it got washed out from about 9 acres of drainage from the surrounding area, came out, and the outfield was saturated. They couldn't use it. So one thing that we worked with here was we put in about a 520-ish foot bioswale with a couple of different pocket rain gardens here. And so the idea is it's going to capture that water then coming across the baseball field and then a little bit coming off of the trail as well. Thanks, Jen. It's Fox Chase Road and Forest Ave is like the intersection where the baseball field's out there. So you're just seeing a couple pictures here of that. So that was, again, October, November. It went in the same time as the other rain garden we were talking about, actually by the same contractor. So it was nice. It all got done in 1 week then. So this will total then 3 different projects at Alverthorpe right now, and then 1 hopefully to come here in the near future. You can go to the next slide now, Aaron. So the last thing that we did this fall, which was the last thing we did in early November, was a pair of rain gardens went in at Abington Junior High School. So it's about a half-acre capture area of the rain gardens, which helps to capture a lot of the adjacent roads. And there's like a bus circle at the back of the junior high school, if you're familiar. These 2 rain gardens, the one's about 450 square foot, the other's like 1250. They were planted right next to the existing riparian buffer that we had there. So they're going to help to manage some stormwater. We also have a lot of stuff coming up here, hopefully in the spring, to work with students from the junior high school on education around green stormwater infrastructure, maintaining the projects, and also the creek. So here in the fall, we actually met with about 100 different students on one day where they came out and looked at the project, and we talked about rain gardens and why we have them, and we talked about the soil in them and all of those sort of good things, which was a great opportunity for us too. So that's all the projects that we got done this fall. If anybody has any questions, you can add them in the chat and I'd be happy to answer.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Kevin. Those pictures are so cool to see. I feel like Pennyback and TTF do so much. It's hard for me even to keep track of everything y'all are doing. My name is Erin Landis. I am the water programs manager at Whissick and Trails. And so I'm going to highlight a few of just 2 of the big projects that we did in 2021. And again, we're showing you these projects because I mean, they're really fun to look at the pictures. And again, the Streamkeeper and Creek Watch programs are key to monitoring the downstream effects of these projects over the long term. Like Kevin talked about, it's difficult to quantify the impact that these projects have, but by looking at the data that's coming in from the Creek Watchers and Streamkeepers, we can assess how these projects are affecting the stream. So I'm just going to go over really quickly our Headwater stream and riparian restoration project, and also a bit of green stormwater infrastructure in the Sandy Run Headwaters. So here we go. First is the Riparian restoration in our headwaters. So this is the Whissick and Creek headwaters. These are a few pictures of before the restoration was completed. So you can see that there was like heavy erosion around the banks of the stream. It was really incised and not looking very healthy. So this is kind of a concept plan. And this is near, so the north side of our Green Ribbon Trail is where this project is, and it's actually publicly accessible. So the Green Ribbon Trail, can you all see my mouse right now? Moving? Yes, I'm getting a nod. Thank you. Okay, so the Green Ribbon Trail actually runs right here, and you can walk up to this project on this offshoot of the Green Ribbon Trail right here. So this is a concept plan of the work that was done at this project site. A few of the key things that they did were install a series of riffles and runs, which were not present before. So this gray area represents riffles, and then the blue area in between is runs of the actual stream itself. They also regraded the entire channel and surrounding floodplain, and they created a lot of features where when the stream is rising, the water will pull off into certain areas so that the floodplain retains additional water during those storm events. So those are some of the key features I wanted to point out. This project is really cool to go see. So like I mentioned, there's actually a bridge crossing the stream right here. And the next series of photos I'm going to show you are photos that are from standing on the bridge and looking south towards this restoration project. So this was before anything was done, what it originally looked like. Oh, and one other fact, I'm going to go back real fast. This is an interesting project because it was installed in a PICO right-of-way, so it's under power lines. So this area can never be wooded because it needs to keep the shrubbery very short for maintenance of the PICO power lines. And so it was a great place for a floodplain restoration because that area can be used for floodplain overflow instead of becoming wooded with native trees and things like that. So this was the initial clearing of the site. It's pretty ugly looking. So you're gonna see that they're gonna install a riffle right here. So that's what they're kind of creating in this photo. So that is the riffle. And this whole area was also planted after the restoration was completed. So this is a more recent photo. This restoration was completed in 2021. It was about $1.4 million, and it restored 1,700 linear feet of the stream. And it is predicted that it will remove about 275 tons of suspended sediments from the stream, excuse me, and also 335 pounds of nitrogen and 121 pounds of phosphorus. And those are all annual numbers, so every year. So we are super excited to see what those numbers end up being after they are measured over a few years. And then the second project that I want to highlight is a project that we hope will get started this summer. We have all the funding for it. This is a bunch of green stormwater infrastructure installation at Overlook Elementary School, which is in Abington. This is in the headwaters of the Sandy Run, which runs into the Whissick Creek eventually. I apologize because this image is very hard to see, to read. So I'm sorry about that. So there is going to be a big rain garden that's installed here. And let me back up a little bit. So the water runs from the school and the parking lots downhill into the Sandy Run, which is up at the top of this image. And it gathers a lot of velocity and flows into that stream quickly, causing erosion and degrading that stream. So we are going to put in a bioswale here, a rain garden, and also do some riparian buffer restoration, planting around the Sandy Run Creek here. So it's a really exciting project. I hope eventually, maybe this year, maybe next year, to take a tour of creek watchers out and streamkeepers to see what it looks like after it's done. So this project has not yet started, but we're really excited about it. And I'm sorry if you can hear my baby wailing in the background. He's struggling tonight. All right, so that was a quick highlight of the projects that each of our teams has been doing. We thought that you all might be interested in seeing them, so I hope that that was fun for you all. I can't see, so actually, maybe can we pause and answer questions about any of those projects? I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment so I can see everyone and we can look at the messages a little bit. So if Kevin or Ryan, can you just check the messages and see if we had any questions, or if anyone would like to come off mute? I think we have a small enough group that you can come off mute and ask a question as well.
I don't see any questions, just the letter to the editor, and Jeffrey, as he corrected me, sorry for mispronunciation there. He posted that, the letter to the editor, the text from that in here. It was very well written. Take a read for that, copy and pasted it if you want. I'm sure he'd like you to read it later so you don't lose it tonight. You can also save the chat if you didn't know that. In the chat, right where you're about to chat, there's a little 3 buttons and you can click save chat. At the end of the night, it should save the chat for you and pop up on your screen. That's how it's worked for me. It's a fun feature of Zoom. You can save the chat so you don't have to rush to get all the links. So I don't see any questions coming in. No one went off of mute.
I think we did just have one question come in from Peter that says, has monitoring identified any overall positive or negative changes in the stream quality since the program began? Do Kevin or Ryan want to take a stab at that, or I'm happy to?
At least the Mac. Go ahead, Ryan. What'd you say?
Yeah, I can just quick. I know we've touched on it a little bit before, but some of our work at Abington Friends School, because it's right where the Jenkintown Creek starts, we put in a rain garden, 2 different rain gardens there, and Riparian buffer sections there, and Villanova monitors that rather intensely. They have noticed a decrease in the expected increase of stormwater during the summer entering the creek. So basically what that means is when it rains during the summer, obviously all that water falls on hot pavement and hot surfaces and then enters the creek. Basically, if all these projects, the creek temperature goes up less than it did before. So that was one of the really tangible things. Just to stress though too, it's hard with some of these projects to see like a very measurable change because you can't control for all of the inputs into the creek at every area. So it is difficult to see like hard scientific evidence that, this rain garden lowered creek temperatures by 1 degree. That's very difficult to see, even as we start to aggregate some of these projects.
And for Pennyback, Peter, the macroinvertebrate data that was done by David Robertson, when that was compared to the new data that we have, there were differences found. There were species that were not found then that were found now and things like that, which we'll be touching on Thursday. Another plug. So that's not the just Streamkeeper data or anything that we've done DRWI. Like Ryan said, that stuff's going to take time to show. But one example from Pennyback is the Betts Basin that went in just at the beginning of all of this at the top of the unnamed tributary. And if you ask anyone from Fulmer Heights, that project made a big difference with the amount of water that used to just sheet over Byberry Road and into their development. So that's one project that definitely made a difference right away. But as for the science behind it, like Ryan was saying, that data is hard to come by and will take a couple more years for the most part.
Thank you both. And Kevin, if you may have already done this already, but since you mentioned the macro event twice that Pennyback is hosting on Thursday, maybe link it in the chat if folks haven't seen that and are interested in attending.
I'll toss those in.
Awesome, thank you. So I am going to continue sharing. I will say that the presentation part of this is getting close to being finished. And after that, we're going to have some formats for more input and open discussion. All right. Okay, so I think everyone should be able to see my presentation again. Let me know if not, but So this slide, we really just want to acknowledge that the last 2 years of this pandemic have been tough. That might be the understatement of the year. I know that, so for me, I think maybe every summertime, or there are moments where I think that the pandemic's almost done, and then I kind of have a relapse. And so I think it's taken the Streamkeeper program a while to adjust to that. It certainly was a bump in the road for us. Also, we had, of course, Lindsay, my predecessor, left Whissick and Trails, which I think may have, you know, stalled the Whissick and Trails program a little temporarily until I came on. But we just want to say that we appreciate you all so much. You all are one of, probably the most dedicated group of volunteers we have. And so thank you for everything we do. And we're really looking forward to 2022. We have a strong team here, and we want to kind of like take this program up to the next level. So we're going to show you a little bit of what we're planning for 2022. And then we're also going to ask for your feedback, because we really want to gear trainings and presentations towards what you all are interested in. So I have here in 2022, we want to upgrade our trainings and opportunities to get together safely and learn together. And then we're also focused on figuring out a better way to collect data and communicate that to you all and the public, because we have certainly recognized and heard from some of you all that the data collection might be a little bit clunky. And then we, on our end, we are not always because it's a little bit clunky, it also is clunky to evaluate that data and then draw cohesive stories from it sometimes. So we really want to work on that this year, and we have some plans for that. Ryan or Kevin, do you have any other things to say with this slide? If not, that's fine.
I think you touched on it, and we're excited for your feedback in the next couple minutes here. We really hope you guys participate, because this is your program and your work, so we want it to be meaningful. So yeah, Aaron nailed that.
This next slide is kind of some of the trainings that we have brainstormed that we're planning to do in 2022. We are kind of organizing them currently and coordinating the dates and things like that. We don't have all the dates solidified. So this is just a preview. And again, based on the input you all give us tonight, some of these might change a little bit, because we want to gear this towards what everyone here is interested in. But what we are thinking as far as virtual presentations, so a lot of these may be in the next few months before the warm season. In late February or early March, we are going to do a Municipal Governance 101 virtual presentation, and that is likely going to be with Sue Myeroff. I imagine some of you may be familiar with her. She's great, and she's very much involved with local advocacy. We're planning another one on MS4s, which is MS4s. If you all don't know what that is, well, I should say, stay tuned for that presentation and you can come and learn all about them. MS4 stands for Municipal Storm Sewer System. I missed one, I think. I have to learn more before coordinating that presentation clearly. So that'll be very interesting to look into. I'm excited for that one. We also want to do one on the Clean Water Act and implications of that. And then a Streamkeeper 101 training, because we haven't had one of those in a while, and we do have some new Streamkeeper and Creek Watchers that are excited to join us. As you can see, our virtual presentations are focused a little bit more on how to turn passion into local action with our municipalities and a little bit of advocacy. We're very interested in that, and I would like to hear if you all are interested in that as well. And clearly I have lots to learn about local advocacy. Then we also are planning some in-person trainings and field trips for the summertime because we hope that COVID will have relented a little bit by then and that we can do that safely. As we know, being outside is much safer than gathering indoors. So we want to do a live stake training, which Ryan can talk a little bit more about that in a moment. I'll review the other ones real quick, Ryan, and then loop back around to that one. And then we're hoping to do a kayak trip this summer, which would be super fun. And then we also want to do some tours of the major stormwater projects, some of them that we've highlighted here because they are super fun to go out to and talk to experts about. Yeah, so those are some of the in-person trainings that we're planning to do. Ryan and Kevin, do you want to talk a little bit more?
Sure. So live staking training, one thing that we're thinking about doing was it's sort of more of like a hands-on, we're thinking maybe it's a two-part session where we would go out here, since the live staking window is like the end of winter, it would be outside, you know, pretty spaced out still. So that's pending how things are, but we're hopeful we can have that in-person training. So it would be going out and going through the process of harvesting the stakes, and then at a later workshop, inserting the stakes into the creek bank. So what live stakes are they're really a low-cost, effective way to help maintain creek bank stability. So you drive those live stakes, which are cuttings from some more riparian species of shrubs, so willows and dogwoods and whatnot, buttonbush too, that then gets driven into the bank. They establish roots and then eventually grow into new shrubs that help to hold in the creek bank. So it would be, you know, harvesting some live stakes from some of our restoration sites or other areas nearby, and then helping to install those into the creek bank in a later workshop. So if there's more like hands-on stuff like that everybody's interested in, we can certainly think about other ways to do stuff like that too. This is sort of a feel it out workshop for how you guys like learning something like that and doing something like that. And then again, to the municipal governance one, I know I'm excited for that one because I know very few of us understand like, oh, well, what does the zoning commission do? Or what are some of those other like local governance bodies that make decisions and stuff? What do they do, and how can we help to, you know, talk about zoning and why a parking lot got approved for in a floodplain and stuff like that? So how we can make big changes like that besides monitoring and installing projects, stopping poor development and bad things from being built in the first place.
Yeah, just like Ryan said, I'm excited for the governance one because we tell you to go talk to your township, but it's not always easy to do that. Like I said earlier, we want you to keep the pitchforks at home and not go, you know, if you're mad about the salting, it's not right to go to the regular township meeting and bring that up. You have to go to the zoning committee or your Parks and Rec committee. So different arguments, you have to go to different committees, which is kind of confusing, right? So that's kind of what that training is going to come to, is, you know, how to actually go to your township, what meetings you need to attend, who are the people to talk to. Sue Myrov she does a great job with that, and she understands it pretty well. It's kind of hard to understand. It can be, and each township's different, you know, from Upper Moreland to Lower Moreland to 12 municipalities in the Pennyback. It's all different. So that would be exciting if you guys are into that. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what you guys are into, and we'll try to make those things happen. And a possible tour of Stroud. That was really popular in the past. And then just showing you guys these, the field trips are really fun, showing you the projects, kayak trips and things like that. A fun way to learn about the watershed, meet other people, and just get out there. So I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. I think that's coming up next, right?
Yes. So let me see. Okay. So now we're going to get into feedback from you all. So sorry if you've been sitting there waiting for this part. It's taken us a little bit to get here. Okay. So I am going to stop sharing. Yes, we can. So I do have a little bit of a format for feedback, but we can take, if you all have any questions directly related to what we just talked about, feel free to raise your hand. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I have to unmute. Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I just want to echo Dave Bell's comment in the chat. I would just like to know, and I've been asking this for years and still haven't really had a good answer. What happens to the data we collect every month? I've been doing it now for 6 years. You know, who sees it? and how is it used to make decisions? I feel like, I fill that the online receiving portal for it, and I fill it in and I click submit, and I just don't know what happens to it. And I think knowing would really be motivating. I'm kind of committed to doing this one way or the other, but there's times when I just wonder, does anybody look at this? Does anybody care about it? Does it change anything? So I echo Dave very strongly. Like to know a lot more. And also I'd like to know, how the data that we're collecting on Rock Creek and Curtis Arboretum compares with what people are, say, finding over, on Jenkintown Creek or on Sandy Run or places like that. It'd just be really interesting to see what's similar, what's different.
Yeah, thanks, Jeffrey. Like we said, we knew you guys were wondering that. That's why we did tonight. That we tried to build that into the earlier presentations to show you that a lot of this data is simply that. It's baseline data that we look at. We look at it year after year. We follow the temperature and things like that to track if there are any major changes. And as we put these new projects in, the farther back we can go, we can track that data. So it's not the immediate gratification that you're expecting, which, like Aaron said, that's what we want to get to. Everything you just said is exactly what we want to do for you guys, but it hasn't been as easy for us because there's different platforms out there. There's Google. That's what Aaron, Ryan, and I are working on currently. None of us are experts in like computers and data and things like that. So creating an app or one source for all of this, so you guys can see all of your past data on the map. You can see what upstream and downstream sites look like, what their data has been saying. So a lot of this it's baseline data that we're tracking over time. That's the key thing, getting to these sites month after month, year after year to track these changes. And then we're going to talk about adding some other data. So for chloride, we want to add that back in. We just haven't figured out the best way to do that. So temperature and chloride are two of the biggest data points that we get. And then the physical changes that you guys are tracking with your pictures, the Pennyback uses those and along with the temperature data to guide some of our restoration sites along the 4 miles of creek that we manage. So I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, a capstone student did a project comparing your Streamkeeper temperature data to professional monitors that he went up and down the creek with, and he found that your Streamkeeper data was valuable. There was no significant difference between the Streamkeeper data and the professional data, which was a huge finding that your data is valid and it's good. So the Pennyback Trust used that to guide several of our riparian tree plantings this year to cover the areas of hotspots along the creek. So that's one way we immediately used some of this data that we found. And then, like I said, again, a lot of this data, it's tracking it over time. And then the other important part of the data is red flag events. So along the Pennyback, we had several Streamkeepers that noticed very cloudy water for months on end. And we finally found out that it's coming from a new development. So just going to your sites month after month, getting that data, it adds the baseline data, you catch red flag events, and then you can guide some of the restoration projects that on land that we own, because a lot of this land like TTF, they don't own any of that land. So when they get the data, even if they find something wrong, they have to find the landowner, a partner, they have to find funding. It's not always easy just to go out and say, hey, there's a problem at this site and enact a change rather quickly. So I know that wasn't entirely the answer you're looking for, Jeffrey, but we're working to get it to be what you guys want so you can interact with it. You can see other data. We can all see it. We can have meetings and look at it together. That's a dream of ours too. And I apologize it's taken this long to get there, but it is the three of us doing a lot of this work. And we have a lot of other things, no excuses, but we have that same dream as you, Jeffrey. We really do. We've been talking about it for months. I don't know if Aaron or Ryan, I kind of just took the stage there because I am passionate about this, Jeff. So
I got one thing to add. So one thing sort of working on, which hopefully you guys will hear a little bit more about coming up, is so Stroud, we've been working with Stroud Water Research Center for a while on some stuff. They have taken a really big interest this year in wanting to do more chloride sampling during the summer and like off seasons when you wouldn't expect a spike. So one of the things I'm sort of working on, and hopefully if it goes well here, we'll see it across all the watersheds, is using you guys to come out and help get samples across a lot of sites on a day. So sort of like a BioBlitz sort of day, if anybody's familiar with that. So, you know, maybe we have 5 volunteers go out to 15 or 20 different sites and get water samples. That way we can have a snapshot of all of these creeks at one time, like one specific day during the year, to see, well, what are those sort of levels? So really sort of working on coming up with some projects like that, where you guys can really see the data up front. You know, there's like a defined goal and a defined outcome. So that's one of the things that I'm sort of working on, that I hope we can see this year, and that a lot of you guys are interested in getting involved. So I'll have more data on that sort of as it comes along, a little more information for you guys.
Thank you, Kevin and Ryan. I'm going to move into, oh yeah, Jeff. I see we have okay, I'm gonna let Jeff speak, and then I do have we're gonna try a different format of feedback before we get into more open discussion. But yeah, Jeff, you can go ahead.
Just a quick question. Aaron, you described the data collection as clunky. What do you guys see as the issue there, and how do you anticipate maybe streamlining it to make it easier for you? It doesn't take, I don't think, the Creek Watchers or Streamkeepers that long to gather the data, at least not with Creek Watch. But for you guys to process it probably is very time consuming. So what ways are you looking at possibly changing what we're doing while we're at the side of the stream and filling out the report?
So yeah, you can go ahead, Kevin.
Well, we're not necessarily going to change the input. You'll still have to like maybe log on to a Google form or open an app or something that we have. That's what we're working on, is like the final logistics of it. So the form will still be the same. You'll do it in your head, like a lot of you probably can at this point. Or you'll bring your phone down to the creek. However you do it now, that probably won't change. Just where that data goes and how you see it and how we see it is different. So right now, each of our organizations has their own database. So when I get it, I go to the website, I download it, I download the separate pictures, and I put in an Excel file, and I compare the data that way, month after month, to see any changes and things like that. So it's clunky because there's an Excel file, and then there's a whole another file of photos that I have. So that's kind of why it's clunky. What we really want is it to go to one website, and then you can click on your site on a map. This is like big goals. If we can make it happen, this is what we want. You can go to your site after you submit your data. You go to this platform, whatever it is. You click on the map, and it's Pen 225 per se. And that's your site. You'll see all of your past uploads, and then you can see your pictures. Then you zoom out of that, then you could go up or downstream, see other people's reports. In a dream world, that's what we're working to get. And tonight we want your input. If you know if you're a tech guy or you know any apps, right now we're between 2 different places that we're talking to them privately to see if we can work something out. And then just Google Data Studios, which is a proven method, but we want to do something. We're trying all avenues before we just throw something at you guys without it being, we want it to last a while, and we want it to work and be good. So we're not just going to throw something at you and change it up in a couple months. So we've been putting we've had 4 or 5 meetings on it now. We're finally getting somewhere, we think, but that's what we were ready to introduce it to you guys and see if you had any input, if you had any thoughts or ideas about this. So we're going to put up a Jamboard in a minute here, because we probably won't hear all of your thoughts, but we want to hear you guys, all of your thoughts and opinions. So I think Aaron can put it in the chat. If you've never used it before, it's a separate link, and it's kind of like a Google folder where you type in, you can put a sticky note in there and type whatever you want to say. So this way we can have a meeting next week and we can go through all of your suggestions. So that's the point of this Jamboard. Aaron put it in the chat here. So you might hide the Zoom screen for a minute. If you want to put a comment in, you click on the sticky note on the left side when you get that screen open. And then you can type in whatever you'd like. If you want to put your name, please do. If you don't want to put your name, that's fine, but we really like to have your name so we can talk to you if you have a good suggestion. So this is the first slide. The next slide will be about your actual suggestions. The question here is, why do you participate in Streamkeeper's Creek Watch? You know, why did you get started? Why did you join in the beginning? Why are you passionate about it? Why do you keep doing it? As Jeffrey said, even if our data isn't all, you know, you can't see the data and interact with it, he still wants to do this because it's a great thing. And that is what we wanted you guys to leave with tonight. Like, we are using your data. We're looking at it, we're monitoring it, but a lot of it takes time. We just don't want you to think that we're just throwing it in a folder and never looking at it. We are using it, and it's valuable, even if we haven't shown you the data. We're working on it. We have it, and it can be used. So I'm
One-
seeing sticky notes come in. Go ahead, Erin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just so Kevin explained it really well, but I'm gonna just repeat, just if people aren't familiar with Jamboard, it might take a minute to catch on, which is fine. It took me a little bit to learn this. So if you click on the link that was in the messages of Zoom, that should take you in a web browser to Jamboard, which is this screen that you should be seeing. I'm sharing it with you now. At the top, it should say, why do you participate in Streamkeepers and Creek Watch? What are you passionate about that keeps you active with the program? If it says something different, you may be on the wrong page, and you can just toggle between them up here. There's 2 pages, so we're starting on page number 1. Then to use this, we just want everyone to put in little sticky notes. So to put in a sticky note, you would go over to the left-hand side of the screen. There's a little square. When you toggle over, it says sticky note. Open that up, and you can say, we want you to type in here whatever, why you participate in Streamkeepers, what you love about it, what keeps you active in that program that you want us to keep the same forever. So you could say, I love being outside. If you just love getting out on the trails and hiking, and this is an excuse for that, that's great. You can make it anonymous, but you can also sign your name. And then if we have any follow-up questions, we can contact you and ask you more about this. So when you save it, it just creates a little sticky note on this board. And so this Jamboard is going to be saved, and we can go back and reference it just to see what you all said. And then you can cancel when you want to get out of sticky notes. So we would love to have everyone throw up 1, 2, 3, or more sticky notes. If you have tons of reasons you love Creek Watch, please put them up here. Yeah.
One other thing to add too, if people are really having trouble too and can't quite figure it out, or you think of something after this meeting, we are sending out a survey that has these questions and a couple other ones too, where you can add that feedback too.
And if you can't figure out how to use this right now, don't be embarrassed. It's totally fine. You are welcome to just unmute yourself and tell us if you're comfortable with that. And I would be happy to type it up on here too, and happy to hear your thoughts. So some folks said that it gets them out on the trail with their kids and practice environmental awareness in nature. I love that.
I don't think we're going to close this link tonight. So if you're got nothing or you got to head out right now, just open it, keep it on your screen. We can send it back out. But we definitely want to hear your input. Like Jeffrey's comment before, you know, that's exactly what we want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I can send this link in a follow-up email too, so you guys can continue adding to it. Does anyone want to come off mute and just share? And I'm happy to type it up as well.
And we enjoy the first question, just get a background on why you guys are doing this. That helps us plan in the future. But I think the second question is even more important. You can toggle between the first and second question on your own.
Yep. So up at the top of the screen here, if you just click the right arrow, we have another board that says, not to be overwhelming, but what kind of trainings, field trips, work days, or volunteer days do you want to happen in 2022? So what else do you want to do or see more of? And this could be hikes, it could be going out to see the sites that we were talking about. Anything that you would like to participate in or do in 2022, please give us feedback here. We'd love to hear it. And
Yeah,
again,
just like Jeffrey's comment, if you want to see, better, you want to see your data, like that's what we want to hear.
yep. So I'm going to add a sticky note. So more data use and communication. Even if you see something similar up here, it helps if you add the same thing again too, because we can see that lots of people are interested in that. And again, you can toggle between these two boards. If you're done with this one, you can go to the right and start on this one, or go back and forth.
Is anyone really struggling with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Aaron, will you just tell me one more time what icon you're meant to choose? Is it the fourth one down and just click on it?
Yeah, so it's a fourth one down. It looks like just kind of a square. And if you just click on it, it should pop up. It says at the top, sticky
Of course,
note with...
as soon as you started helping me, Aaron, it worked.
Oh.
Right? I mean,
yeah,
of course, right.
So just
technology.
Aaron has that effect.
No, it's got to be the people.
We're ready to go.
Well, I'm glad it finally worked for you, Jeff. So we'll leave this up for another few minutes. And after this, we'll go back to the screen with all of just us, the people, and we can open it up for broader conversation. After this, we have nothing else planned. So I love seeing all these sticky notes come up. This is amazing, though. Thank you so much for participating and putting your input in here.
Yeah, if there's anything you want to see at all, just put it in here, whether it's impossible or not. We love to hear it and what you guys are interested in. This feedback will really guide the next kind of couple years. We plan to do these meetings more regularly, whether they're in Zoom or in person. My video is off. Yeah, there's great stuff coming in. Comparing macro data from watershed to watershed, that'd be interesting.
And on this board, or in a moment when we just talk as well, I would love to hear if you all are interested in those more advocacy geared trainings, if that's of interest to everyone. And then my second question that I was just thinking about, and Kevin and Ryan, feel free to share like anything that has been percolating for you. But if anyone is interested in more kind of social geared events, so maybe just meeting at a preserve and going on a few mile hike, but without, say, a naturalist to teach us tons of stuff. It would just be hiking together and chatting, kind of like a kayak trip might be. That's obviously very exciting because it's kayaking, but I don't know if people are interested in just kind of getting together and doing things outside without a big educational aspect to it. That wouldn't replace any educational aspect, but in addition to educational things. I'm interested in folks if would want to participate in those types of things.
Yeah, I'd love to host a walk at the Pennyback Trust and show you our preserve. And likewise, I don't know many of the Whissick trails, so that would be cool. And then we could show each other, Streamkeeper sites along the way. All that kind of fun stuff. If you guys are interested, we want to plan it. Cool. So yeah, keep filling those in. We'll keep that website open. We're going to definitely have a meeting between Aaron, Ryan, and some of the other coordinators. And we're going to look through that and do some heavy planning. Now, if you want to turn your video on, we can just kind of open conversation. If anyone has last minute questions or comments or anything happy they want to say.
It's okay if you have your video off too. You're welcome to still speak up, but we love to have the video on. And the other thing is, Kevin and Ryan and I are always available via email. We love to hear feedback directly too. So if you don't get a chance to speak tonight, feel free to email us as well. Ryan, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I put the survey form link in the chat too, if you want to fill that out. If you want to fill it out tonight, but we're also going to send it out tomorrow or the next day via email too, just so everyone who couldn't join us tonight also can add their feedback too. And then, like I said, if anyone remembers anything, or you're in the shower tomorrow morning, you're like, oh, I thought of this and this was a good idea, feel free to add that again too.
I'm looking at the Jamboard here. While you're why you're participating things are really great. They're all very different too. Something running through your property, just love of the Whissick or love of the Pennyback.
There was a couple of people who asked in the chat about learning more about riparian buffers, and I just wanted to share, there was a five separate 1 hour long Zoom sessions that Penn State runs on that on riparian buffers, and I did it last either last winter or the winter before. It was kind of my first exposure to Zoom, and it was just fabulous. The questions that were addressed were just right on, and there were lots of good photography. The questions people asked in the chat were good, and the answers were good. It was just really excellent. I think that's still available, so check that out.
Yeah, we'll have to see if we can find that. Thanks, Jeffrey. And like on Pennyback's YouTube, most of the Streamkeeper trainings are on there. I think Whissick has some good ones. So all of our YouTube pages are constant sources of Zoom meetings and old recordings of programs we've done, if that's something that interests you. But we repeat a lot of those programs because not everyone likes to watch a Zoom. It's more fun to be in person, well, in person on Zoom. But all those recordings are there if you want to watch any of the old trainings and get better at them. I know I get better at each of these every year as well, whether it's the habitat assessment or algae. I'm getting better every year doing this stuff with you guys. So, wow, I wish we had another hour to go through all these Jamboard stuff. Though. Thank you. These keep coming in. We just don't have time to go through it tonight. We're already a little bit over time, I think. So,
yeah, if you all have to go, you're welcome to log off. I do want to say this is open floor. If there's anything heavy on someone's heart, just about any topics related to Streamkeeper and Creek Watch, we invite you to speak up, unmute yourself, and bring it up now, or any questions or anything.
Otherwise, I think they trust us. I don't know. Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. We have a blast running this program, and that's why we did tonight. We want to show you that we are using your data. Your work is important. It's, as we showed you guys tonight, it's spreading awareness. You're catching things happening in the watershed. We're monitoring projects. It's been fun working with you all. Yeah, we miss you guys. We want to get back in person. That's what tonight was about. We hopefully we captured that, and your voices were heard, and we'll have a meeting between Aaron and Ryan and I to go through a lot of this and hopefully plan out a good 2022. So I don't see any other comments. No one's saying anything.
I have one more comment, Kevin.
Yes.
I think I'm probably speaking for everybody who's on this Zoom call. You guys appreciate us. Well, we really appreciate you and all the work you do and all the trainings and all the equipment you provide us. And it's really amazing what you guys do. And so thanks for the support from us.
Thanks. Thank you. We're all here for the same reason. So I think it's easy for a lot of us. So thank you, Jeffrey. We appreciate that. We do. All right, unless Ryan or Aaron have anything, I think it was great hanging out with you guys, and we look forward to getting this training out to you. Email us, call us, text us. We're available. Thanks for joining us.